You are your greatest opponent. No one else. It's not the person next to you, the doubters, or the critics, it's you. The moment you wake up, you're faced with two versions of yourself. The one that wants to stay comfortable and the one that knows what you need to do. Every day, you fight that battle, and the war is not with the world but within your mind. This is where most people lose, not because they are weak, but because they allow fear, laziness, and self-doubt to conquer their ambitions. But the truth is, the only person standing between you and greatness is the version of yourself that gives up too soon. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, nothing can stop you. You have to be relentless. You have to tell yourself that quitting is not an option, even when it gets hard, even when life knocks you down. Because it will. There will be days when you feel like you don't have the strength to continue, when your dreams feel out of reach, and the temptation to quit is overwhelming. But that's when you need to dig deep. The real growth happens when you push through the pain, when you keep moving forward despite the obstacles. Success doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care about your excuses, your comfort, or your circumstances. It only responds to effort, discipline, and consistency. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you work for. Every single day, you have a choice to be better than the person you were yesterday or to stay the same. There are no shortcuts. Every moment you waste is a moment your competition is getting better, but more importantly, it's a moment you're falling behind the version of yourself you were destined to become. You have to kill the inner voice that says, "Take it easy. There's always tomorrow." That voice is your enemy. Tomorrow isn't promised, and every day you wait is a day you could have been one step closer to your dream. The people who succeed aren't the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They understand that setbacks are a part of the process. They fall, they fail, they learn, but they don't quit. They fight back, not because it's easy, but because they know that victory only belongs to those who are willing to go through the storm. Your mind will always try to convince you to take the path of least resistance because it craves comfort. But comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Greatness only comes when you step outside of what's familiar, when you embrace discomfort and lean into the challenges. That's where you find out who you really are. That's where you discover strength you didn't know you had. It's in those moments of doubt, exhaustion, and frustration that champions are made not because they have fewer struggles, but because they never stop fighting. It's you against you. And every time you give in to your excuses, every time you choose ease over effort, you're letting the weaker version of yourself win. But the good news is, every moment is a new opportunity to turn things around. You can choose to fight back. You can choose to be better. But it takes more than motivation. Motivation will get you started, but it won't sustain you. You need discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your achievements. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it will never come. Start where you are, with what you have. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. One step today, one step tomorrow. That's how momentum is built. And momentum is powerful. It's the force that turns small efforts into massive results over time. But it requires persistence. It requires showing up every day, giving your best, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Because this journey isn't about proving anything to others. It's about proving something to yourself. You have everything you need within you. You don't need more time, more resources, or more motivation. What you need is the courage to bet on yourself, to trust that you have what it takes to rise above the obstacles. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by how you respond to them. Life will throw challenges your way that's inevitable. But what's not inevitable is your response. Will you allow yourself to be defeated, or will you rise every time you fall? Success isn't reserved for the lucky or the talented. It's reserved for those who refuse to quit, who are willing to outwork, outlast, and outperform the version of themselves that wants to give up. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing the hard things when no one is watching, about staying committed when the excitement fades. The grind is lonely, but it's worth it. Every struggle, every sacrifice, every long night and early morning will pay off in the end if you don't quit. You must learn to love the process, not just the results. Fall in love with the work, the sweat, the grind. It's in the process that you become who you were meant to be. The victory isn't just in reaching the goal. It's in becoming the kind of person who is capable of achieving it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, effort over excuses, you are becoming stronger. Every battle you win against yourself brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. So what's it going to be? Are you going to let fear, doubt, and comfort keep you from your dreams? Or are you going to rise up every single day and fight for the life you know you deserve? This is your moment. No more waiting, no more excuses. It's you against you, and it's time to win. The battle doesn't end with one victory. Every day brings new challenges, new temptations to revert to old habits. The question isn't whether life will test you again, it will. The real question is whether you'll show up ready to fight again. Success isn't a straight line. It's messy, filled with highs and lows, triumphs and failures. But the difference between those who make it and those who don't is simple. The winners get back up one more time. They don't wait for conditions to improve. They push through regardless of the weather. They know the path to greatness is paved with struggle, and they embrace it. Each time you refuse to hit the snooze button, each time you put in the work when you feel exhausted, you win a little more of yourself back. Piece by piece, effort by effort, you reclaim the person you were always meant to be. That's what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's about being willing to fight for every inch of progress. It's about confronting the lazy, fearful, and doubtful version of yourself and saying, not today. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? Do you see someone who makes excuses or someone who finds a way, no matter what? It's easy to point fingers, to blame circumstances, bad luck, or other people for why you aren't where you want to be. But the truth is, nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. The life you want, it's in your hands. The dream you keep thinking about, it's waiting for you to claim it. But nobody will hand it to you. You'll have to fight for it, day in and day out, until it's yours. There will be moments when you'll feel alone in this fight. And you might be tempted to think that your effort doesn't matter, that no one notices. But those are the moments that define you. It's easy to work hard when everyone's cheering you on. It's easy to push forward when things are going your way. But the real test is what you do when the lights are off, when the motivation fades, when the grind feels endless. Will you keep going, or will you quit? You have to remember that the journey isn't just about winning the external battles, it's about conquering the internal ones. The fears, the insecurities, the doubts, they're all part of the process. But they only have as much power as you give them. You can either feed your fears or feed your dreams. You can allow fear to paralyze you, or you can use it as fuel to move forward. The choice is yours. No one else can make it for you. And understand this. Winning against yourself today doesn't mean you're done. It's a lifetime fight. You don't reach a point where the struggle disappears. What happens is you become stronger. You develop habits and a mindset that make the fight easier over time. Discipline becomes your default. Grit becomes your identity. And success? Success becomes not just an outcome, but a way of life. It becomes the inevitable result of the choices you make every day. There are going to be dark days when you question everything, when you wonder if the fight is even worth it. And that's when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. Go back to that vision of the person you want to become. Picture the life you were working toward. You didn't come this far just to quit. Every struggle you've faced, every sacrifice you've made, has brought you closer to that vision. Quitting now would mean throwing away all that progress. And you owe it to yourself to see this through. It's okay to rest, but it's not okay to quit. Rest if you must recharge, refocus, but get back up. This journey is not about perfection. It's about perseverance. Even on the days when you feel you've fallen short, remind yourself that you are still in the fight. Falling is part of the process. Staying down is a choice. And you have the power to choose differently every single time. You were not born to be mediocre. You were not born to settle. There is greatness inside you, waiting to be unleashed. But you have to earn it. You have to be willing to fight the version of yourself that's content with less, the one that wants to take the easy way out. And every time you win that fight, even in the smallest way, you come closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. Don't let fear, failure, or fatigue stop you. Let them shape you. Let them build you. Every challenge you face is a chance to grow. Every setback is an opportunity to learn. The struggle isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path, it's proof that you're on the right one. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But it's not easy, and that's why it's worth it. So keep moving forward. Keep fighting. You are capable of more than you realize. And every day, you have the opportunity to prove it not to anyone else, but to yourself. The version of you that gives up has no place in your future. The version of you that fights, that pushes through the pain, that refuses to quit, that's who you are becoming. It's you against you, and you were born to win. Now go out there and make it happen. The fight is far from over. In fact, it never ends. Every time you hit a new level, a new challenge appears. Growth demands more and more discipline, more sacrifice, more resilience. What got you here won't be enough to get you to the next level. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. They think success is a destination, but it's not. It's a process, a lifelong commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. If you stop now, you'll only prove that comfort was more important to you than progress. But if you push on, you'll see that every limit you thought you had was just an illusion. This is the part of the journey where most people turn back. When it's no longer exciting and the grind becomes routine, they give in. They convince themselves they've done enough, that maybe the dream wasn't meant to be. But that's the difference between winners and everyone else. Winners don't stop just because things get hard. They know that's exactly when they need to dig deeper. They understand that every time they push past a breaking point, they unlock a new version of themselves. This is where the magic happens, when everything in you wants to quit, but you refuse to give in. Remember, it's not about waiting for motivation to strike again. It's about creating habits so strong that even on your worst days, you still move forward. Motivation fades, but habits endure. It's waking up every morning and doing the work, not because you feel like it, but because you made a promise to yourself. A promise that you won't settle, that you won't allow fear, fatigue, or failure to define you. You owe it to yourself to keep going. No one else will hand you your dream. You have to take it. The struggle is real, and there will be days when you question if all the effort is worth it. But remember this, the pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. If you quit now, you'll carry that regret for the rest of your life. You'll look back and wonder what could have been if you had just held on a little longer, pushed a little harder. That kind of regret is the heaviest burden of all. Don't let it be your story. When you feel overwhelmed, when the weight of everything feels too much, narrow your focus. Don't think about tomorrow, next week, or the mountain in front of you. Think about the next step, when the moment in front of you. That's how greatness is built, moment by moment, step by step, choice by choice. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Winning the day today gives you the strength to win it again tomorrow. The only way you lose is if you stop moving. Keep walking even if it's slow, even if you stumble. Progress is still progress. You're not in competition with anyone else. This battle is personal. It's about you versus the version of yourself that wants to coast through life, that tells you good enough is enough. That's the real enemy, the one that waits for you in moments of weakness, asking you to settle for mediocrity. But the future belongs to those who resist that temptation. Those who remind themselves again and again that they didn't come this far to settle. There's still more in you, more strength, more potential, more fight. There will be moments when you feel unseen, unappreciated, as if your work doesn't matter. But let me tell you something, it does. Your efforts may go unnoticed by the world now, but every time you show up, you're making deposits into your future. Every rep in the gym, every late night, every morning you get up early when others sleep, you're investing in yourself. And those investments always pay off. They don't just create results, they create character, grit, and mental toughness. Champions are built in the dark, long before the spotlight ever finds them. You have to be okay with the grind when nobody is watching. You have to embrace the work for what it teaches you, not for who applauds you. Because the goal isn't external validation, the goal is becoming unstoppable. Someone who keeps showing up no matter what. Someone who doesn't need permission or approval to go after what they want. You might feel like the odds are stacked against you. You might think the road is too long or that you're too far behind. But understand this. The only thing that matters is that you start and you keep going. It doesn't matter if others are ahead of you or if the journey takes longer than you expected. Your only job is to put in the work and trust the process. Every great achievement began with someone who is willing to start small and stay consistent. This journey will change you. It will break you open, expose your weaknesses, and demand more than you thought you had. But in that breaking, you will find your strength. You will discover that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. You'll learn that the limits you thought you had were only walls of fear waiting to be torn down. And the moment you break through, you'll realize that you were never really fighting the world, you were always fighting yourself. Every time you resist quitting, every time you push through the discomfort, you are winning the battle. Not just for the result, but for the person you are becoming. The person who doesn't quit when it gets hard. The person who stays disciplined when no one is watching. The person who knows that greatness is not a destination, but a commitment to becoming better every single day. And when it's all said and done, you'll look back and realize it was never about the goal. It was about the journey, the growth, the transformation. That's the real victory, the moment you realize that the person you've become is unrecognizable from who you once were. That's when you'll know you've won the war against the old you. But the battle isn't over, it never will be. Every new level brings a new challenge, and you'll have to keep fighting. But now, you'll fight from a place of strength, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you've already proven that you can rise. Because it's not just about winning once, it's about becoming someone who wins day after day, no matter the circumstances. It's you against you, and you are unstoppable. The beauty of this journey is that every time you defeat a weaker version of yourself, you unlock a new one, stronger, sharper, and more resilient. The fight evolves, and so do you. What used to seem impossible becomes routine. Things that once overwhelmed you now feel like warm-ups. That's what growth looks like. It stretches you until you no longer fit into the old, smaller version of yourself. But here's the truth. You have to keep climbing. Comfort will always try to lure you back, whispering, "You've done enough. Rest here. You've earned it." But that voice is a lie. The moment you settle, you begin to decline. Progress doesn't allow for stagnation. Either you're moving forward or you're slipping backward. Every victory comes with the responsibility to aim higher. That's the price of greatness. It demands more, but it gives more. Each level you conquer reveals new heights you never knew existed. This is the life you chose, a life of relentless pursuit, of unending growth. Not because it's easy, but because you know deep down that anything less would leave you empty. There will come a point when you have to make peace with the grind. You'll realize that the struggle isn't a curse, it's a gift. It's teaching you patience. It's shaping your mindset. It's chiseling away at the fear, insecurity, and hesitation that once held you back. You're becoming someone who thrives under pressure, who embraces discomfort because you know it's the only way forward. The process becomes your friend, and once you fall in love with the process, there's nothing that can stop you. You learn that obstacles aren't there to break you, they're there to build you. Challenges reveal what's inside you. They show you where you're strong and where you need to grow. Most people avoid hardship because they fear the pain, but you've realized that pain is the greatest teacher. Every failure, every misstep, every rejection is refining you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. It's shaping you into the person who can handle the success you're chasing. But remember this, success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about who you become along the way. It's about building habits and mindsets that will sustain you long after you reach your goals. Because once you achieve one dream, another will appear. And the person you become in the process will be ready for that next challenge. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And you're not just trying to win the race. You're trying to become the kind of person who keeps running, no matter what. There will still be bad days. Days when you feel like the world is against you. Days when nothing goes according to plan, and every step feels heavy. But on those days, you remind yourself, this is temporary. This too shall pass. The storm will come and go, but you will remain. You will endure, because you know that storms don't last, but the strength you build from weathering them does. Every time you survive a storm, you come out stronger on the other side. And with each storm you conquer, you prove to yourself that nothing, not fear, not failure, not doubt can break you. There's power in knowing that. Power in understanding that the real enemy was never the obstacles in your path. It was always the voice inside that told you to stop. And now, you know how to silence that voice. Not by arguing with it, not by reasoning with it, but by taking action. You fight it with every step forward, every task completed, every sacrifice made. And in doing so, you strip it of its power. The weak version of you can no longer control the narrative. The excuses, the doubts, the fears, they no longer define you. You've taken control. You've rewritten the story. You've become someone who shows up even when it's hard. Someone who fights even when it hurts. Someone who refuses to quit even when every part of them is begging to stop. This is who you are now. A fighter, a warrior, a relentless pursuer of excellence. And from here on out, the world will have to adjust to the new you, the version that doesn't quit, the version that doesn't compromise, the version that wins. Because now you understand the truth. It was never about the obstacles outside of you. It was always you against you. And now, you've proven that the best version of you will always win. So keep going. Keep fighting. The journey isn't over, it's only just beginning. And no matter what comes next, no matter how many battles lie ahead, you already know how it ends. You win, because you won't stop until you do.